Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carmen. Welcome. So this video is a follow-up to a video that I did last year on how to use numerology to discover if you are a starseed. I'm going to show you in this video how you can use numerology in your date of birth to find out which planet or planets you have had most of your incarnations on. But let's talk about what a starseed is first, because some of you might not even know what a starseed is. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what it is. So what is a starseed? A starseed is somebody who has had incarnations on other planets and with other ET groups. So we have all had multiple lifetimes. We have all lived many times, and this is not your first lifetime. If you are on planet Earth, then you have had multiple lives before. The reason I say that is because planet Earth is one of the most difficult planets to be on. It is. It is one of the most densest and difficult planets to be on. And if you have incarnated onto planet Earth, then you are not a new soul. You would not have been given the opportunity to come to planet Earth if you were a brand new soul. That's because planet Earth in the universe is kind of like the Harvard. It's like getting into Harvard, and it's not easy because it's a planet of duality, where there's a lot of darkness, but there's also a light. So it's very dualistic, and because of the duality, it's very dense, and it can be a very difficult planet to be on. This is changing, however. The vibration of the planet is changing, and you can check out a video I did on the Great Awakening to find out more about this. But you have to think of it as like these planets are kind of like universities, and souls sign up to be on certain planets because they're trying to learn and grow. And incarnating onto planet Earth is kind of like getting into Harvard. So you need to look at it like that, right? That it's a blessing to be incarnated onto planet Earth, especially during this time, because the planet is, the frequency of the planet is going up and the vibration of the planet is rising. But it is definitely a blessing to be on planet Earth because it really is like getting into Harvard. So you definitely learn a lot, and you have a lot of spiritual growth and soul growth on planet Earth. But Harvard would never admit a kindergartner, right? If you were in kindergarten and you applied to go to Harvard, Harvard would never accept you. And it's kind of like that with planet Earth. If you are a brand new soul, then you would not be given the opportunity to go to planet Earth because it's such a difficult planet to be on. So basically, everybody who is on planet Earth has had other lifetimes before. Some people have had more lifetimes than others, and they're older souls. But basically, everybody who is here has had other lifetimes before. And those lifetimes were most likely on other planets that were easier to be on than this one. So what that means is that most people on planet Earth are starseeds and have galactic heritage. So we are all starseeds here on planet Earth, but some of us feel it a little bit more strongly than others because for some of us, this might be our first lifetime on planet Earth, or it might be one of our first lifetimes. So common signs that it might be your first lifetime on planet Earth or one of your first lifetimes are that you just kind of feel out of place. So for example, maybe their whole lives they felt different than other people, or they kind of felt like they didn't really fit in or they didn't really belong. It's very common for them to not really fit in with their families. Maybe they felt like they were kind of the odd man out. So if you're a starseed who is having your first incarnation or one of your first incarnations on Earth, then feeling different and feeling like you don't belong is very, very common. And then often not understanding other people. So you might have grown up your whole entire life and not really understood why people do the things that they do, why humans act the way that they do. That's very common for starseeds that are new to the planet as well. So if you felt different your whole entire life and never really felt like you fit in, then those are common signs that you're a newer starseed. Remember, we are all starseeds, but you might be a newer one if you felt like that. Also, if you are drawn to a certain starseed group, then that's a common sign that maybe you've had most of your lifetimes on that particular planet. So most of us have had incarnations on multiple planets. That's right. Not just one other planet other than Earth, but we've had them on multiple planets. But there are some starseeds that have had most of their incarnations on one particular planet, or a couple or a few particular planets. And so I'm going to show you how you can use numerology and your date of birth to figure out which planet that is. What planet or planets have you had most of your incarnations on? And we can use numerology to do this because there are some numbers that have a similar frequency and a similar vibration to certain planets. And you, if you're coming from one of those planets, your soul would have given you these certain numbers in your chart so that you could have a similar energy to your home planet and the planet that you are used to incarnating on. So, but doesn't that make sense? Your soul knew that it was not going to be easy for you on planet Earth, and it wanted to make it as easy for you as possible and give you a similar frequency and vibration to the planet that you were used to incarnating on. So it put certain numbers in your chart so that you would have a similar energy. Now, you don't have to have these numbers in your chart to be from a specific group. So don't get triggered if there is a certain group that you are really drawn to and you don't have these numbers in your chart. I always say in all of my videos, always follow your own intuition first. So if you are drawn to a certain particular starseed group, then that is basically a sign that that is your group. That is one of the planets that you have incarnated from the most, and that is your starseed group. So follow your own intuition first if you are really specifically drawn to one of these groups that I'm going to describe. The numbers are just kind of a way to confirm this, right? Or to help you out if you're still confused. It's just a way to get some confirmation, but always go with your own intuition first. Now I'm going to show you how to calculate a couple of these key numbers in your chart really quickly right now. It only takes a few minutes. All you need is your date of birth and your name, your full name. And if you already know these numbers, then you can go ahead and check out the timestamps below. I'm going to put all of the starseed groups in the timestamps below so you can check that out. I'm going to show you very quickly how to calculate these numbers. If you need a more detailed explanation, then check out my video on how to calculate the core numbers in your chart. In that video, it goes into much more detail than what I'm about to show you here. To calculate your life path number, you're going to take the month of your birth and add all of those numbers together until you get a single digit. Then take the day of your birth and add those numbers together until you get a single digit. Then take the year of your birth and add all of those numbers together until you get a single digit. Then you're going to take those three numbers and add them together and keep adding them together until you get a single digit. And if you get an 11, 22, or 33, you are not going to add those numbers together because those are master numbers. To calculate your expression number, you're going to take the first, middle, and last name, or whatever name is on your birth certificate, because some people don't have middle names. Take whatever name is on your birth certificate, and I'm talking about the name that was written on your birth certificate at the time of your birth. Even if you have changed your name, we're not using that name. We're going to be using the name that was written on your birth certificate at the time of your birth. Find all of the letters in your name and the corresponding numbers to those letters using the Pythagorean number system. And then you are going to take all of those numbers once you get it and just add them together and keep adding them together until you get a single digit. If you get an 11, 22, or 33, then those are master numbers and you do not add them together. To calculate your soul urge number, you're going to take the same name that is on your birth certificate, but this time you're only going to find the vowels. You're only going to find the numbers that correspond to the vowels in your name. And these days I usually consider Y to be a vowel. So you're going to take only the vowels and find the corresponding numbers, then add all of those numbers together and keep adding them together until you get a single digit. If you get an 11, 22, or 33, those are master numbers and you do not add them together. So one of the most common starseed groups that many people who incarnate on planet Earth are Pleiadians. And before we start talking about the Pleiadians, make sure to check out the other starseed groups as well, because most people actually come from multiple groups. So it's very common that you will resonate with other starseed groups, and if that's the case, if you do, it's probably because you're not just from one starseed group, it's because you're from multiple starseed groups. It's common for people to resonate the most with one group, maybe that group you had the most incarnations with, but then you might resonate with others because you've had incarnations into other groups as well. Now, if any of this information really resonates with you and your intuition is telling you that you are a starseed, and if you have these numbers in your chart, which we're going to go over in a few seconds, then there's a good chance that you are Pleiadian. Some people say Pleiadian, so there's different pronunciations for it, but yes, there's a good chance that you are if you resonate with this. But the Pleiadians are basically from the Pleiades star system. And according to otherworldlyoracle.com, they tend to be very gentle in nature. They tend to be very soft-spoken and polite. These people tend to have really big hearts, and they tend to be humanitarians, and they really have a concern for other people. And they tend to be highly sensitive, and they tend to be highly empathic. So, you know, empathic in that they can sense other people's energy, they can pick up on if it's negative or positive, and they can transmute other people's energy. So they can help to transmute negative energy into positive energy and vice versa. So they're highly sensitive, highly empathic. They really want to spread love. Like, that's their number one mission to be down on this planet, is to just spread love and to make us, you know, to raise the vibration of the planet, make this a more happy, positive place on a much higher vibration than it's currently on. And how they do that is through spreading love, basically. And because love and harmony and peace in relationships is so important to them, sometimes they can be people pleasers, and people can walk all over them because they sense this gentleness within them, and people will take advantage of that. So, but they're here to spread love. They tend to be very healing. They go into healing professions a lot of times. They tend to really be into metaphysics. So alternative forms of healing, metaphysics. They're very family oriented. They often feel really different when they're growing up. So they don't feel like, you know, they kind of sense that they don't fit in. They kind of feel different than other people. Often they will feel like the black sheep in their family or around their group of friends or at school. And they can sense that they're kind of different than other people, and that they basically have a big mission. You know, they came down here for a big reason. And sometimes they don't know exactly what that reason is, but they can sense within them that, you know, it's a challenge, and they came here for a reason. There's something big that they need to do. A lot of times they will have food sensitivities. They will be eating things that they're highly sensitive to, and they don't even realize this because they're so highly sensitive that everything affects them in their environment. So the food that they eat, the music they listen to, you know, the air quality, you know, everything, the things they put on their body, it's all affecting them because they're so highly sensitive. And they tend to have a lot of anxiety. This is very common with Pleiadians. A lot of anxiety, and sometimes they can have sensory issues as well. So if your life path, soul urge, or expression number, and these are the three most important numbers in your chart, and it doesn't have to be all of these, but if any one of these is a 2, 11, 9, or 22, and you resonate with these characteristics, then you are a Pleiadian Starseed. But these 4 numbers don't just have to be your life path, soul urge, or expression number. If any of these numbers appear in your chart multiple times, so at least 3 times or more, anywhere else in your chart, then that could also be confirmation that you are a Pleiadian Starseed. And that's because these 4 numbers have a similar frequency and energy to the Pleiadians. 2, 11, 9, and 22 are all highly sensitive numbers. They're all highly empathic, and they tend to be healers. They go into healing professions to help people, to counsel people, to heal people on some sort of, level. They tend to be drawn to that. They tend to be humanitarians. They all tend to, really care about other people's feelings and just care about keeping the harmony. These numbers don't like conflict, and if there's any sort of disruptions that cause conflict or disharmony, then they tend to feel a lot of anxiety, and they tend to, it tends to really drag down their mood. So they try to avoid those kind of situations, as much as they can. They care about keeping the peace. 11s, 9s, and 22s all usually know that they came down here for a big reason. 11s are master numbers, and they know that they have something important to do. And 9s also kind of feel that way as well, because 9 is the last number in numerology. So they kind of have, both of these numbers have this sense that, okay, I came down here to do something big, and it's usually involving healing the planet in some sort of way. And the thing is that Pleiadians, that's why they come here. They're coming here to change the grid, to change the frequency of the planet. So they have a really big mission. So if you're one of these numbers, chances are you could be a Pleiadian. But definitely check out some of the other Starseed groups too, because these numbers pop up in some of the other groups as well. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. And the next Starseed group is another common group that often incarnates onto planet Earth, and they are known as the Arcturians, and some people call them Arcturans. So if any of this information that I'm about to give you really resonates with you and your intuition is telling you that you are a Starseed, and also if you have some of these numbers in your chart, which we're going to go over in a few minutes, then you are an Arcturian Starseed. And make sure to check out the other groups as well, because most people resonate with more than one Starseed group. And that's because you have often incarnated into multiple groups. Usually you will resonate the most with one group, but then you'll resonate with others as well, because you've also maybe had a few other lifetimes in those other groups. So make sure to check out the other ones as well. Arcturians come from the star Arcturus, which is a red giant located in the Buddhist constellation. And according to otherworldlyoracle.com, they tend to have a great love of math, science, metaphysics, and medicine. So what I've noticed with Arcturian Starseeds is that they will either be into science and math or some other intellectual areas, right? They will either be very intellectual or they will be very spiritual and into metaphysics and other spiritual and or esoteric concepts. So you don't have to be really into science and math or other intellectual pursuits to be Arcturian. You could be one of those Arcturians that's just more into the metaphysics and the spiritual stuff. But one of the biggest signs that you're Arcturian is being into both. So being intellectual, but also at the same time being spiritual and into metaphysics. And I'm an Arcturian Starseed, and I have always been like more into science and other intellectual things, and but also spiritual too at the same time. So that's usually a really big sign that you're an Arcturian Starseed, and it doesn't have to be just science, math, and technology that you're interested in. It can be other intellectual areas as well. So their mission is kind of to meld the two together, to bring science and spirituality, or the academic and intellectual world and the spiritual world together as one. That's what a lot of them have come down here to do. Because right now on our planet, there's a big division between the science world and the spiritual world. And a lot of Arcturians basically have come down to remove that division so that the two can finally come together. Because until the two can finally come together, there's always going to be some sort of problems on the planet, right? So this is common for Arcturian Starseeds, but it's not their only purpose. Arcturians are light workers, and your purpose could just be to be a light worker, right? To help the planet wake up and to ascend into the new Earth that's currently being created. And as an Arcturian Starseed, their purpose as a light worker could certainly be to help the planet by making the planet more technologically advanced, right? Developing technology that helps to make us more advanced. So that certainly could be one of your purposes as a light worker, or your purpose could be to help the planet by, helping people to wake up, right? And helping the ascension process through spiritual methods, right? Through spirituality and, esoteric things. Or if they're not helping the world through spiritual methods, they're still involved in professions or careers or some sort of work that helps the world in other ways, right? So there's a lot of careers out there that help the world and are, there's a lot of light workers that are in those professions, such as teachers, healers, scientists, pilots, trainers, coaches, therapists, counselors, any of those as well. So these are common with Arcturians. If they're not blending the two together, they could be doing one or the other separately as well. But the commonality is that they're still helping the planet in some sort of way, right? They're still helping the ascension process and helping Earth to ascend into the new Earth, basically. So they have a big mission, and these people, they tend to like to plan things out. They have a plan. They tend to be very goal-focused, goal-oriented types of people. 7s and 4s like to plan things out ahead of time. 1s are more spontaneous, and they usually don't like to have a plan ahead of time. But once they are on track to do something, then they will stick to the plan until they've had success at it. Like I said, they love technology. They tend to be very telepathic. So they can often read people's thoughts and what they're thinking. People don't even realize this. They're very cerebral, and so they can do a lot of things with their mind that they don't even realize that they're doing. And that includes manifesting things, manifesting good things and manifesting bad things. They are capable of doing both. And Arcturians have very, very powerful minds. If you look at their heads, in the picture, their head is a lot bigger than the typical humans. Their minds are extremely powerful, and they can do all kinds of things on their planet, like moving physical objects with their mind. They can levitate things. They can even teleport objects with their mind. So their minds are very powerful, and Arcturian Starseeds tend to be very intelligent and very intellectual as well. And they also tend to be very compassionate, but they guard their feelings, and they're not always the most visually emotional people. So also they can sometimes come off as being arrogant and having a big ego, but it's not that they do, it's just that they kind of know that they came down here to do something big, and there's a mission that they have to do. Like I said before, these people are very analytical. They love to analyze things, go over things in their mind, and just think about all of the different angles of everything. They're very abstract in their thinking. They tend to be very logical in their thinking. And you will often see them as leaders in some sort of leadership position, either at the workplace or in their local communities. in their, their small communities within their friend groups, or, on a bigger scale, a much larger scale, you'll see them in some sort of leadership positions. And they also tend to be very driven, and, a lot of times these people will be very successful too. Now, another thing about Arcturian Starseeds is that they often will feel like the black sheep of their family, or they will feel like they just don't belong. So this is very common for them. And because they have often felt left out or shut out by other people their whole entire life, they do enjoy attention and appreciation from others when they receive it. And another thing too is that they are often highly sensitive to their environment. So sometimes they will have sensory processing issues because of this, where they're highly sensitive to light, sounds, textures, smells, or they can just be highly sensitive to being around other people, right? Or they can be highly sensitive to the foods that they eat, or the music that they listen to, or they're highly sensitive to what they see on TV or social media or on the internet or what they read about. So they're just highly sensitive. Sometimes this can be sensory processing issues as well. And so if you're an Arcturian Starseed, you really have to be careful about what you watch and what you listen to and what you eat and the environments that you put yourself into, because you're going to be absorbing all of that energy. And this can really affect Arcturian Starseeds and make them feel very negative or depressed, or put them into a very lower vibrational state of being. So if either your life path, soul urge, or expression number is a 1, 7, or 4, and you resonate with these characteristics, then you are an Arcturian Starseed. And these numbers don't just have to be your life path, soul urge, or expression number. Okay, those are the 3 most important numbers, right? But it doesn't have to be one of those. If one of these numbers appears at least 3 times or more in other parts of your chart, right? Other parts that are not these numbers, then that could also be confirmation that you're an Arcturian Starseed as well. Now, I'm a life path number 7, and I've been told by multiple psychics and mediums that I'm an Arcturian Starseed. And I've never been told that I'm one of the other groups. I always get told that I'm Arcturian. And so a lot of this information really does resonate with me. And what's interesting is that when I was a kid, I would try to move objects with my mind, or I would try to levitate objects with my mind, and I was never able to do it. But this is one of the things that Arcturians can do on their planet. And they can move all kinds of physical objects with their mind, just thinking about it. And so, maybe a part of me could sense that in another lifetime, this is something that I was able to do. And, tried to do it on this planet, but, in this lifetime, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. Just another pitfall of being on planet Earth, right? But, in the future, these are things that we probably will be able to do because we are moving in this direction, right? We are evolving. So at some point in time, humans will be able to move objects with their mind or levitate things. That is the future. And as you can see, all of these numbers are very analytical, and they're very rational and logical in their way of thinking. They all tend to be leaders. They have leadership qualities to them. Number 1s are born leaders. 7s tend to become spiritual leaders and spiritual teachers. 4s are leaders in the business world and in other areas of life. And they all have a love of learning too. So the 7, the 1, and the 4, these are lifelong learners. They're always trying to expand their mind and their consciousness. 7s and 4s like to plan things out. They like to have a plan ahead of time. 1s are very spontaneous, and they often will not do this. They kind of just go with the flow. But once they have a plan in mind and they're on track to do something, they usually will stick it out until they've completed the task and they've had some success. So if you are one of these numbers or have more than one of these numbers somewhere in your chart, then that's a good indication that you are Arcturian. But check out some of the other Starseed groups because these numbers pop up in some of the other groups as well. And leave a comment below and let me know if this resonated with you. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So the next starseed group is another common group that you might have heard of, called the Sirian Starseed group. And they come from the 2-star system of Sirius. Now, if this information resonates with you, then you probably are a Sirian Starseed. But just keep in mind that most people are from multiple groups. So definitely check out the other groups as well, because most people have incarnated into multiple groups and will resonate with more than one group. Usually there will be one group that you've incarnated with the most, but often there's other groups as well. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, when it comes to the Sirian people, these people tend to be very intense daydreamers. They love to daydream, and they often are healers, and they're really into metaphysics. So they will go into healing professions, and they have an interest in metaphysics. They have a love of expressing their self artistically through creative forms or through clothing. Often these people, they have a certain style about them and a certain way of dressing that really reflects who they are. The way they dress is a big form of self-expression for them. Sometimes you will see them with tattoos, piercings. That's just a way for them to express themselves. And they tend to be very creative people. They tend to go into creative professions, or they will engage in creative hobbies on the side. They tend to have a deep connection to water and the ocean, and they love being around water. It's very healing for them. And they often love animals. They have a deep connection to animals, and often you'll see them as like animal rights activists. They love dolphins, any sort of like ocean animals, but they also have a love of cats and dogs too. Often people that have a lot of pets, like if you have a lot of dogs or if you have a lot of cats, then that's often a big sign that you're a Sirian Starseed. They have a great sense of humor, and they're often really funny people. They just, they know how to make people laugh, and they tend to be very fun, and they have an upbeat, very optimistic personality. They tend to be very good at expressing themselves, but when it comes to expressing their feelings, they're not always the best at this, and it can be hard for them to do that. So if your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is a 3, 6, 9, or a master number 33, and this information resonates with you, and your intuition is telling you that you're a starseed, then there's a good chance that you are a Sirian Starseed. And if these numbers don't appear as your life path, soul urge, or expression numbers, then you can check the rest of your chart, and if you see any of these numbers appearing at least 3 or more times in any part of your chart, then that could also be confirmation as well that you're a Sirian Starseed. Now when it comes to the numbers 3, 6, 9, and master number 33, they all have a lot in common with each other. As you can see, these numbers are all multiples of each other. These numbers are what I like to call the creative numbers. So these numbers are all highly creative. They're creative in different ways, of course, but they are creative, and self-expression is very important to them. And they're healers. They're service providers. They provide service to people in different ways, but they're doing that. They're healing other people, basically. So if this resonates with you and you have these numbers in your chart, then you might be a Sirian Starseed. But make sure to check out the other Starseed groups as well, because these numbers also pop up into other groups also. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So the next Starseed group is the Lyrans. And if any of this information resonates with you, and your intuition is telling you that you're a Starseed, and you have some of these numbers in your chart, which I'm going to go over in a few seconds, then chances are that you are a Lyran Starseed. Some people pronounce it Lyran, some people pronounce it Lyran. Either way is correct, so just go with whatever feels more comfortable for you. And by the way, most people actually do come from more than one starseed group. So make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And it's actually very common that people will resonate with more than one group. And that's because often people will resonate with one group the most because maybe they've had most of their lifetimes and incarnations into that one particular group, but then they'll resonate with a few other groups as well because they've had other incarnations into those starseed groups. Now, according to otherworldlyoracle.com, the Lyrans, or Lyrans, are a type of starseed from the Lyra constellation. There are a few stars in the Lyra constellation, but the main planet of origin is Vega. Now, according to them, the first humans originated from Lyra. Two races of ancient beings called felines and avians also came from Lyra and helped establish much of the ancient world on Earth, including Atlantis and ancient Egypt. The Lyrans, who aren't incarnated on our planet, are typically found in the higher dimensions, in the 6th dimension and up. So these are higher dimensional beings, as are most ET groups. And they tend to be fiercely independent. So independence is very important to them. They tend to be very athletic, and they enjoy exercising. They tend to love exotic foods and exotic lands. They're very curious. Curiosity is one of the strongest traits of a Lyran or Lyran. And it's kind of like the curiosity of a cat. And what's interesting is that Lyrans often will have cat-like features. So they'll have like almond-shaped eyes. And also in terms of their personality, they're very independent and they have a lot of curiosity as well. And they love to travel, they love to explore the environment. They tend to have many goals. So these are goal-oriented types of people. And they can be very driven to succeed. If there's something that they're really passionate about and they have their eye on, they will be very driven to achieve that thing that they want. So they are big achievers and have goals, but they can get distracted very easily. So sometimes they will start projects with a tenacity, and then they will just end up abandoning those projects out of nowhere if they get bored. So this can happen sometimes. And they also tend to be big risk takers. So these are people that, that will risk a lot, sometimes even risk everything. That's common with them. These people tend to need more sleep than other people do. So if you find that you're kind of like a sleepy person and, even if you get a lot of sleep, you feel like you didn't get enough, that can also be a sign that you're a Lyran. Also, if you just love sleep in general and sleep is just something that you really enjoy doing, then that can also be a sign that you're a Lyran. These people also tend to like to be in social situations, so it's very important for them to be where the action is. They like to feel a part of the action, but often they will be the observers. So they'll be kind of just observing other people and kind of like analyzing them in their mind and kind of watching everything. They don't always need to be the life of the party, but they like to be where the action is, as long as they're kind of like sitting on the sidelines and kind of just like watching everything. They're very observant people, and they will often see things and pick up on things that other people just can't even see because they're so good at this. And of course, loving to travel, loving to explore the world, explore the environment, having that cat-like curiosity where you just love to explore the world around you, that's a huge sign that you're a Lyran as well. So if either your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is a 1, 5, or a master number 11, and you resonate with most of this information, then you are a Lyran Starseed. So if one of these numbers isn't your life path, soul urge, or expression number, then you can also get confirmation that you're Lyran if 1, 5, or master 11 appears somewhere else in your chart 3 times or more. So if you see one of those numbers appearing 3 times or more anywhere else in your chart, that could also be confirmation that you're a Lyran Starseed. But these numbers all tend to be very independent and definitely can all take care of themselves. And once they have their eye on something, they can all be very driven. And, they have that ability to really just, achieve what it is that they want if they're passionate about something. And they all tend to be big risk takers too. So when they want something, they will risk a lot to go and get it. And often these numbers have big expectations for things that they want in life. So if you have these numbers and this resonates with you, then it's very likely that you're a Lyran Starseed, but make sure to check out all the other Starseed groups as well, because these numbers also pop up into other groups also. And let me know in the comments below if this is your Starseed and if this resonates with you. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So the next group is Orion Starseeds, and these are starseeds that come from the Orion constellation. Now, if this information resonates with you and you have some of these numbers in your chart, which I'm going to go over in a few minutes, then chances are that you are a starseed from the Orion constellation. And by the way, most people actually do come from more than one starseed group. So make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And it's actually very common that people will resonate with more than one group. And that's because often people will resonate with one group the most because maybe they've had most of their lifetimes and incarnations into that one particular group, but then they'll resonate with a few other groups as well because they've had other incarnations into those starseed groups. So starseeds from the Orion constellation tend to be very grounded, and they tend to be very hardworking. They are often builders and leaders. And you will often see them in leadership positions, usually in the business world, but also in other areas as well. They often are very opinionated, and they're not easily persuaded. So if they have an idea about something, they're stuck on it usually. They're not easily persuaded. And sometimes they can see the world in black and white. Something is either good or bad, and don't always see the in-between, right? The gray area. But they're very self-controlled, and you will often see them as entrepreneurs, and that's because they are very task and goal-oriented types of people, and they tend to be very organized, and they tend to be very good at planning too. They tend to hold logic above all else, and so, if something is illogical, then it must be true. If it's not logical, then it can't be true. They're logical beings, but they're not always emotional beings, and they're not always the most open with their feelings and their emotions. And they're also very street smart people. So these are people that are very savvy, and they have a lot of business smarts and a lot of street smarts. So if either your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is a 4, 8, 1, or a master number 22, and you resonate with this information, then you are an Orion Starseed. But these numbers don't just have to be your life path, soul urge, or expression number. If these numbers appear anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, then that can also be confirmation that you're an Orion Starseed as well. But as you can see, all of these numbers are very hardworking. They're very self-controlled. They have a lot of qualities that make them the business numbers. That's kind of the way I describe them, is the business-minded numbers. And they all tend to be very driven, and they all tend to be very logical in the way they think, and they're very savvy, and they're all very street smart. So if this resonates with you and you have these numbers in your chart, then you could definitely be an Orion Starseed. But make sure to check out the other Starseed groups, because these numbers also pop up into other groups as well. And let me know in the comments below if this is your Starseed and if this resonates with you. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. The next group is the Andromedan Starseeds. Now, the Andromedians come from the Andromeda galaxy, which is outside of our own galaxy. And so if this information resonates with you and you have some of these numbers in your chart, which I'm going to go over in a few seconds, then there's a good chance that you are an Andromedan Starseed. And by the way, most people actually do come from more than one starseed group. So make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And it's actually very common that people will resonate with more than one group. And that's because often people will resonate with one group the most because maybe they've had most of their lifetimes and incarnations into that one particular group, but then they'll resonate with a few other groups as well because they've had other incarnations into those starseed groups. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, Andromedians, and some people refer to them as the Andromedans, so either one is fine, Andromedians or Andromedans. They tend to be very easygoing and they tend to be very laid back. So these are people that are really easy to talk to. They just have this really chill kind of way about them. They seem very chill, and they're just, they're easy to talk to and be around, basically. They don't take things as seriously as some of the other starseed groups do. And they often have a very childlike way to them. So they often will look very childlike, meaning that they will, they'll have a very youthful look for a very long time. They stay young looking for, even when they get older. And they often have this kind of childlike presence to them where they kind of just, it's like being around them is kind of like being a kid again. They love their freedom and they have a great desire to travel and to explore the world and to see what the planet has to offer. People pronounce it Andromedans, and you can pronounce it either way, Andromedian or Andromedan, whichever is comfortable for you. There's really no correct pronunciation. And sometimes Andromedans will have difficulty with commitment and just sticking with one person. And that's just because they have this childlike quality to them and they love their freedom. And that's important to them. And they love people. So it can be hard for them to commit to just one person. Not always, definitely not always, but sometimes they have difficulty with this. They also will try to avoid conflict at all costs because keeping their vibration high is very important to them. And so, they will try to avoid conflict if they can. They have a very carefree lifestyle, and they tend to find jobs in the creative fields and in the spiritual fields. These people tend to be just very creative, free-spirited types of people. They have that vibe to them like the hippies. They kind of have that hippie vibe to them. Very similar to the Sirians. A lot of similarities between those two. So if either your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is either a 3 or a number 5, and you resonate with this information, then you are an Andromedan Starseed. Now, let's say you resonate with this information, but these numbers are not your life path, soul urge, or expression number. Then check the rest of your chart, because if these numbers appear anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, then that could also be confirmation that you're Andromedan as well. And as you can see, 3 and 5 have that very laid back type of quality to them where they're just very easygoing, and these tend to be very high vibrational people. They want to keep their vibration high, so they will avoid conflicts, and they love to explore the environment. They tend to be very outgoing, highly energetic numbers, and they're both free spirits. That's the best way to describe these two numbers. They're very free-spirited. So if this information resonated with you and you have these numbers, then you might be an Andromedan Starseed. But definitely check out some of the other starseeds as well, because these numbers also pop up in the other groups also. And let me know in the comments below if this is your starseed and if this resonates with you. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So our last starseed group is the Venusian group, and the Venusians came from the planet Venus. Now, if the information that I'm about to give you right now resonates with you, and you have these numbers that I'm about to go over in a few seconds, if you have these numbers in your chart also, then you're a Venusian Starseed. And by the way, most people actually do come from more than one starseed group. So make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And it's actually very common that people will resonate with more than one group. And that's because often people will resonate with one group the most because maybe they've had most of their lifetimes and incarnations into that one particular group, but then they'll resonate with a few other groups as well because they've had other incarnations into those starseed groups. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, when it comes to the planet Venus, there's a lot of theories that at one point in time, Venus used to support life and there were beings that lived there, and these would have been that group of people. And also, time is not linear, so it could also be that this starseed group basically lives in another dimension. We're in the third dimension and they're in the fourth dimension, so that's why we can't see them. So there's a lot of theories about Venusians, and so they came from the planet Venus, and they tend to be very sensual and very passionate. Now, if you know about astrology, then you know that the planet Venus is the planet of passion, and it's the planet of love and, sensualness, that kind of stuff. So these people tend to be like that. They also tend to be very nurturing, and they tend to be very compassionate. And they're powerful healers. They tend to go into professions where they can heal people in some sort of way. Even if they don't realize this, they have a very healing aura to them, a healing vibe. And they often feel compelled to help other people. They feel like this is their life calling, is to go into some sort of helping profession. Or they're often thrown into positions where they kind of have to take care of other people. They just have this desire and this need within them to do that. They can get jealous very easily. This is common with them, not always, but it can happen because remember, Venus is the planet of passion, right? So sometimes they can be jealous because of this. They often tend to be very attractive, right? Venus rules over all of those things. So they tend to be very attractive physically. And the women tend to be very feminine looking and have a very feminine look, and the men tend to be very masculine. So if either your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is a 6, master number 33, or a number 9, and you resonate with this information, then you are a Venusian Starseed. But let's say you resonate with this information and these numbers are not your life path, soul urge, or expression numbers. If these numbers appear anywhere else in your chart, so if 6, 33, or 9 appear anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, then that can also be confirmation that you're a Venusian Starseed as well. And as you can see, number 6, 33, and 9, they all have these qualities, and they all have passion. And 6 in numerology is ruled by the planet Venus. And 6s tend to have a lot of these Venusian qualities because of it. 33 is a variation of number 6, and 33 is also ruled by the planet Venus as well. And even though 9 is not ruled by the planet Venus, it has a similar quality to the number 6. If you flip over the number 6, it turns into the number 9. If you are one of these numbers, there's a good chance that you are Venusian, but definitely make sure to check out the other starseed groups as well, because these numbers also pop up into other groups also. And let me know in the comments below if this is your starseed and if this resonates with you. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So our next starseed group are the blue avians. And if you resonate with this information and you have these numbers, which I'm about to go over very shortly, then you are a blue avian starseed. But make sure to check out the other starseed groups as well, because these numbers appear in multiple groups. And it's very common for people to resonate with more than one group. And that's because people often have incarnated into multiple groups before. So often you will resonate with one group the most because maybe that's the group that you've had the most lifetimes with, but then you'll resonate with a few others as well because you've also incarnated into those groups as well. So according to spiritualunite.com, blue avians are from another universe, but they have expanded and evolved throughout the whole galaxy and even have seeded onto many planets within the third dimensional world. They have a connection to all things in their universe and often communicate with other beings through telepathy or even sound vibrations. Blue avians are very sensitive when it comes to communication, so they prefer subtle ways of communicating instead of using words. So it's very common for blue avians to be able to tell what other people are thinking, and their claircognizance, which is clear knowing, and clear thinking is often very developed, or it can be very developed if they choose to do so. Now, they are a rare type of starseed, right? They're very rare. They're not as common as some of the other ones. So they're not as common as the Arcturians and the Pleiadians. But people do, there are blue avian starseeds that do incarnate onto planet Earth. It does happen. Blue avian starseeds are often very intelligent. They are highly spiritual and often have psychic abilities. Like I had mentioned, claircognizance is a very common one with them. They also have clairvoyance as well, and their sight and their vision is often very highly perceptive. So they're very observant, and they're often able to observe and see things within the environment that other people would never even notice. So these people see and notice everything. They often love metaphysics and or esoteric spiritual subjects. Their mission is to teach humans spiritual truths, to free them from the bonds of technology and from the bonds of the physical world. They are here to help awaken the planet and humans. They are light workers, and they often will be in spiritually based careers. Or they'll have an intense interest in spiritual subjects, and their hobbies will often involve these spiritual subjects. And it's common for them to not know about any of that stuff in the beginning of their life and kind of struggle and, feel out of place in the beginning. And they're often seeking answers, and they're seeking the truth when they're younger, and then often they will have a spiritual awakening, or they will start to find the answers that they're looking for, and then they will become very highly involved and intensely interested in spiritual stuff later on after they kind of have this awakening. That's common for them as well. Now, according to spiritualunite.com, blue avians are often seen as messengers from other dimensions because they travel to many places in our galaxy and beyond. Blue avians can create portals with their thoughts, but it is unknown how this process works or what all of the limitations are. Avians came to Earth along with other starseeds to assist with moving into the golden age, right? Helping the planet to ascend and for the planet to become new Earth. So they're here helping with the ascension process to help transition people over into the new Earth that's being created. So back on their home planet, blue avians live in a realm that is outside of time and space, which means that they can see into the past, present, and future simultaneously. And they're extremely loving beings who have no need for food or water to survive due to their ability to create things at will with their pure thought forms. Now, blue avian starseeds, right, the ones that have incarnated onto planet Earth, they are the guardians of wisdom, and they basically carry messages from spirit to people. So often you will see that they work on a higher dimensional plane than most of the other starseeds because their consciousness is already in the fifth dimension, right? It's already, often they come down here and they're already kind of in the 5D, right? We always talk about that on this channel, how we're kind of moving from the third dimensional consciousness into the fifth dimensional consciousness, right? A higher way of thinking and being. And a lot of blue avian starseeds, they are a little bit more advanced because they already are in the fifth dimensional frequency, and they've often been like that for a large part of their life. SpiritualUnite.com states that they have been preparing themselves for receiving these messages from spirit through many lifetimes of service, looking deep within themselves to find the truth, which is then transmitted through their physical being. People who are blue avian starseeds are naturally drawn to studying spiritual teachings and metaphysical phenomenon, science fiction, the unexplained, quantum physics, and mathematics. So any of those, right? Could be any of those things. They love learning about ancient civilizations because this information resonates with them on a deep level. It provides them insights into what is going on now in our current planet. They are also fascinated by the science behind psychic abilities, ESP, and the power of intention. What we do know is that the blue avians don't enjoy being in a physical body. They feel that the physical body is something that weighs them down, and they want to be liberated from that. And most of them enjoy the higher dimensional frequencies, and it's one of the reasons why there's not as many blue avian starseeds on planet Earth, because Earth is a pretty dense planet. It's probably it's one of the densest planets, right? It's one of the most difficult planets to be on, and it has a much lower frequency than the other planets. And the blue avians don't enjoy that, right? So they like to be in higher dimensional frequencies, and they don't want to be limited into a physical body because they're interdimensional. And so that's one of the reasons they don't incarnate onto planet Earth as often. But there's been a sharp increase in blue avian starseeds within these current generations, right? Within the newer generations, we're starting to see more of them. And often they will be drawn to things related to the air. So they'll be into aviation or flying, or they'll be drawn to birds. That's common, that they, have an interest in birds. And in astrology, you will often see them as air signs. So you will see air sign placements within your chart if you're a blue avian. Now, in numerology, if your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is either a 7, 9, or a master number 11, and you resonate with these characteristics, then you are a blue avian starseed. But if one of these numbers is not your life path, soul urge, or expression number, then you can look at the other numbers in your chart, and if you see one of these numbers appearing anywhere else in your chart 3 times or more, okay, at least 3 times or more, that could also be confirmation that you're a blue avian starseed as well. And as you can see, numbers 7, 9, and 11, these are all highly spiritual numbers. All of these numbers all have the psychic abilities. These are what I call the psychic numbers. Check out a video that I did about how to use numerology to determine if you're psychic. I'll put a link to that video below, but in that video, all of these numbers were the psychic numbers. So they all have a lot of psychic abilities, and they all are highly spiritual numbers. And people with these numbers, 7, 9, and 11, in their charts, they have a lot of this energy within their charts. They tend to be light workers, people that are really into spirituality and really are just basically here to help raise the vibration of the planet. So 7, 9, and 11 are all light worker numbers who tend to be highly spiritual and highly connected to the spiritual world, and are often able to bring through information from the spiritual world, right? Through either their vision, their thoughts, what they see, and what they hear. So make sure to check out some of the other groups as well, because as I said, it's common for people to belong to more than one group. And let me know in the comments below if this resonated with you and if this is your Starseed group. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. And our next Starseed group are the Reptilian Starseeds. And if this information resonates with you and you have these numbers, which I'm about to go over very shortly, then you are a Reptilian Starseed. But make sure to check out the other Starseed groups as well, because these numbers appear in multiple groups. And it's very common for people to resonate with more than one group. And that's because people often have incarnated into multiple groups before. So often you will resonate with one group the most because maybe that's the group that you've had the most lifetimes with, but then you'll resonate with a few others as well because you've also incarnated into those groups as well. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, the Reptilians are a Draconian Starseed from the Draco constellation. Draco means dragon, therefore many Draconian Starseeds are linked to dragons and reptiles of various kinds. The reptilian race, Life-Garens, Greys, and other Draconians come from Draco. There are some Draconians who are selfish and some would say evil, while others are here to help. Right? They're here to help awaken humanity and to raise the consciousness. So they're not all bad like some of the stereotypes say. There's a lot of them that are here to actually help the planet, so it can go either way with them. But especially when it comes to the Reptilians, you will definitely see debates going both ways. Now, Draconian Starseeds in general tend to be drawn to science, math, and technology, but not always, okay? Not always. They tend to be leaders in their fields and in their communities. They don't take kindly to authority higher than themselves. So this is common with them, is that they don't like being told what to do, and they often do not like authority. When they're not in alignment, they can be money hungry and manipulative. When they are in alignment from a higher dimension, they want to unite people and work towards a common goal. They are talented at leading, building, and coordinating efforts. They always finish what they start. They often are attracted to reptiles, amphibians, or dragons. They may have lizard-like features or characteristics, such as thin, long faces, thin bodies, lizard-like eyes, and facial features. This is common, but not always. They don't always look like this. They tend to have lower body temperature. They tend to be drawn to the sun and warmth, and they tend to prefer warmer climates. They get cold really easily. That's common with Draconians, especially Reptilians, getting cold very, very easily. They are adept and really good at fitting in like a chameleon, so they can just blend into to their surroundings really well. And they typically find jobs in politics and also as community leaders in the military, architecture, or construction. But not always. They certainly do go into other professions and careers as well, but they do tend to be natural leaders. And reptilians often work well with leading a team, organization, or government. So because they have that natural leadership quality to them. And they're often really good at public speaking. Not always, some of them shy away from this, but you will see this often, that they're, you'll see them going into politics commonly. Like, you'll see a lot of politicians that actually are reptilian starseeds, because they just have good communication skills, and they're good at expressing themselves. So that's common with them, being able to speak publicly and to be able to articulate well. Not always, right? So like I said, some of them shy away from this, but you will see that. And another thing too is that they often do not feel right about being at the bottom of a hierarchy, right? So if they're at the bottom of a hierarchy, they will not like that. They want to move up to the top. So that's why you will often see them going into politics, or, or they will just work their way up to the top of a company if they're working at a company, or, often you will see them starting their own thing, because they don't like being at the bottom. And they often don't like being told what to do. They often tend to be inventive and creative in new ways to accomplish an old task. And they often feel like they are misunderstood their whole entire life. So this is common with them. They feel like people do not understand them. They, even if their intentions are the best in the world, people still misunderstand them and mistake, their intentions often. So they will feel misunderstood. And this is common for, to feel this way your whole life. And they're often told by people that they come off as being cold or not having a lot of emotion. And it's not that they are cold people or that they don't have any emotions. It's just that they know that they have a big mission on this planet, and they are here to do a lot to change the planet. So, they carry that on their shoulders. And they often will keep their feelings guarded as a way to protect themselves. So because of this, they might appear to be cold to other people, but really it's just that they are guarding their feelings. So if your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is either a 1, 5, or 8, and you resonate with this information, then you are a reptilian starseed. But if these numbers aren't your life path, soul urge, or expression number, and you resonate with this information, then check the rest of your chart, because if these numbers appear anywhere else at least 3 times or more, then that could also be confirmation that you're reptilian. And as you can see, numbers 1, 5, and 8, these are numbers that do not like being told what to do. They want to be in control of themselves. They want to be in control of their own lives, and they do not like being at the bottom of anything. So they often will find ways to move up to the top because they don't want to be at the bottom. And number 1 and 8 have really good leadership skills. 5 can have good leadership skills as well, but especially 1 and 8, those numbers have very good leadership skills, and very good at taking the initiative on something. And 1, 5, and 8 are very charming numbers. They're very charismatic, and they certainly can use that quality to get things that they want in life, or to live the kind of life that they would like to live. They have those qualities and those characteristics, and they can certainly use it to their advantage if they choose to do so. Another thing too is that these numbers tend to be the extroverted numbers. Not always, but in general, typically you will see people with a 1, 5, and 8 energy as being more on the extroverted side, and being really good at able to kind of communicate publicly, right? So they often have good public communication skills, or they're able to express themselves very well. So make sure to check out some of the other groups as well, because as I said, it's common for people to belong to more than one group. And let me know in the comments below if this resonated with you and if this is your Starseed group. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. And our next starseed group are the gray starseeds. And if you resonate with this information and you have these numbers, which I'm going to go over very shortly, then you are a gray starseed. But make sure to check out the other starseed groups as well, because these numbers appear in multiple groups. And it's very common for people to resonate with more than one group. And that's because people often have incarnated into multiple groups before. So often you will resonate with one group the most because maybe that's the group that you've had the most lifetimes with, but then you'll resonate with a few others as well because you've also incarnated into those groups as well. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, the gray starseeds are a Draconian Starseed group from the Draco constellation. Draco means dragon, therefore many Draconian Starseeds are linked to dragons and reptiles of various kinds. The reptilian race, Life-Garens, Greys, and other Draconians come from Draco. There are some Draconians who are selfish and some would say evil, while others are here to help, right? They're here to help awaken humanity and to raise the consciousness. So they're not all bad like some of the stereotypes say. There's a lot of them that are here to actually help the planet, so it can go either way with them. Draconian Starseeds in general tend to be drawn to science, math, and technology, but not always, okay? Not always. They tend to be leaders in their fields and in their communities. They don't take kindly to authority higher than themselves. So this is common with them, is that they don't like being told what to do, and they often do not like authority. When they're not in alignment, they can be money hungry and manipulative. When they are in alignment from a higher dimension, they want to unite people and work towards a common goal. They are talented at leading, building, and coordinating efforts. They always finish what they start. They often are attracted to reptiles, amphibians, or dragons. They may have lizard-like features or characteristics, such as thin, long faces, thin bodies, lizard-like eyes, and facial features. This is common, but not always. They don't always look like this. They tend to have lower body temperature. They tend to be drawn to the sun and warmth, and they tend to prefer warmer climates. They get cold really easily. That's common with Draconians, especially reptilians, getting cold very, very easily. They are adept and really good at fitting in like a chameleon, so they can just blend into to their surroundings really well. And they typically find jobs in politics and also as community leaders in the military, architecture, or construction. But that's just generally speaking for all Draconian Starseeds. For the gray Starseeds specifically, they tend to have an interest in healing, science, math, or medicine. Okay, so they often will go into professions related to that, but not always. So they can certainly definitely be in other professions and fields as well. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, the gray Starseeds often feel like they've been misunderstood their whole entire life. Like people don't get them. You know, they don't understand their intentions. They misperceive their intentions, or they feel misunderstood. That's very common with them. They typically will have a large head with a disproportionately smaller body, but not always, okay? Not always. And typically, gray Starseeds don't have very much body hair on their bodies, and they often will have an interest in human genetics and DNA. They often will have lower body temperature, and they may have a photographic memory. So they will remember things, and when they're remembering things, they often can see the visual picture in their mind, and they can see all the details and just everything, exactly the way it was. That's common. They tend to be extremely awakened spiritually if they are on the positive side of the gray Starseeds. They'll be very awakened spiritually. They tend to be interested and fascinated with dragons, so that's common. And sometimes they will have problems showing their emotions to other people, and being vulnerable. So they might come off as being cold or unattached, or just not interested. This is common with reptilians as well. And it's not that they're cold or that they are unemotional people. It's just that their feelings are very guarded as a way to protect themselves. And so, this is like a protective mechanism. And so it just comes off as being kind of cold to other people. And often that's because the good gray starseeds that are here to help the planet at this time. So they're often light workers who are here to help heal the planet and help the planet in some sort of way. And they often can sense this, that they have some sort of big mission, big reason why they're here. And so they can sense this within them. So they will find ways to kind of protect themselves in the process of doing that. And another thing about gray starseeds is that they tend to work best with a well-organized team, or they tend to work best when they are organized. So if they're not organized, they're going to be feeling scattered and they're not going to be able to get a lot of stuff done. If they're organized and kind of have a plan of action and kind of know where they're going to be able to get a lot more stuff done, and they'll be much more productive. So this is very important for gray starseeds to remember. Now, if your life path number, soul urge, or expression number is a 4, 6, or 7, and you resonate with this information, then you are a gray starseed. But if these numbers are not your life path, soul urge, or expression number, and you resonate with this information, then check the rest of your chart, because if you have these numbers anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, then that can also be confirmation that you're a gray starseed as well. A lot of physicians and other medical professionals will have 4, 6s, and 7s in their charts. And you will see that a lot of people that do scientific research, right? The researchers who come up with cures for diseases and new medications, a lot of those people will have these numbers as well. 4s and 7s tend to be very logical and analytical in their thinking, and they have a love of learning, and they love researching stuff. And so people with the 4 and the 7 energy often will be researchers. That's common. A lot of healers often have 6s or 7s in their charts. So you will see people that are involved in all kinds of healing. This can be medicines, traditional medicines, non-traditional medicines, and other forms of healing as well, right? Traditional as well as non-traditional forms of healing. A lot of those people will have 6s and 7s in their charts, because 6 and 7 are both 2 of the healing numbers. Check out a video that I did about how to find out if you are a natural born healer. I'll put a link to that video below. So let me know in the comments below if this resonates with you and if this is your starseed group. Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to check out the other groups as well, because as I said, most people will resonate with more than one group because most people are from multiple groups. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So our next starseed group is the Anunnaki Starseeds. And if you resonate with this information and you have these numbers, which I'm going to go over very shortly, then you are an Anunnaki Starseed. But make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And often people will resonate with more than one group because most people have incarnated into multiple starseed groups. Often people will resonate with one group the most because that might be the group that they have incarnated into the most, but they will often resonate with others as well because maybe they've had other lifetimes in those groups also. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, the Anunnaki are a branch off of the Sirian civilization and were part of human creation in the very beginning. Because of their part in the establishment of Earth, specifically in ancient Sumeria, They are often thought to be Sumerian gods. Moreover, they lived on a planet called Nibiru or Nibiru, and sources claim that they are the same as the Greys or the Reptilians. However, they are not. The Anunnaki Starseeds are a new realm of incarnated beings of whom we are just beginning to learn about. So Anunnaki Starseeds are often drawn to the ancient civilizations of the world, specifically Sumeria, Babylon, and Akkadian. And they often feel as if their soul is ancient and even sometimes older than humanity itself. They typically have a strong need for ritual in their life, both mundane and spiritual. Okay, so these rituals can be just everyday rituals as well as spiritual rituals and spiritual practices. Anunnaki Starseeds are often drawn to shows such as Ancient Aliens or other shows that talk about the history of the planet. They often have a strong interest in learning about history and ancient civilizations, as I had mentioned before. They come from the skies, so they are often drawn to the sky, or flight, or aviation. And they will often have dreams of flying, and sometimes they will be able to astral project into space. And Anunnaki Starseeds will often have an interest in either architecture, structures, building, constructing, or order. So these are often people who like to build things, or they like to create structures, or they like things to be structured, right? So these are people that like tradition often, and they like things to be ordered, and they like it when things have an order to them. They often will feel out of place if there's not kind of, a hierarchy, right? A hierarchy that kind of puts everything in order. So they often tend to like hierarchies, and they like things to kind of have a set plan, right? And a set order in which they're going to come in. And they often will be really good at keeping to a schedule and being punctual. And if they don't have a schedule, they can often feel out of place and kind of not as productive as they would like to be. And they can sometimes be competitive, and respect is very important for them. So having the respect of people around them and those people showing them respect is very important to them. If they don't feel like they are respected by the people in their lives or by, people that they come into contact with, they will not feel like themselves. They will feel like something is off. And they can be very loyal and sometimes very honest, right? Sometimes very honest to a fault too, right? Gets them into hot water sometimes. But they are very loyal. And as I said, they do like hierarchies, especially if they're kind of more at the top of the hierarchy. That's what they prefer because respect is important to them. And remember, some people believe that they had a very big part in the beginning of human civilization. So some people believe that they were there from the beginning, helping humans to get started and were, a big part of the beginning of their DNA and their origins, and that they were involved during the time of Lemuria and such. So part of the Anunnaki Starseeds, part of them can sense this, right? They're at a soul level, they kind of remember this. So that is also another reason why, respect is important to them, and they would prefer to kind of be at the top of the hierarchy. And often Anunnaki Starseeds will have had many previous lifetimes in either Egypt or the Middle East, especially in the Middle East. So if your life path, soul urge, or expression number is a 4, 8, or a master number 22, and you resonate with this information, then you are an Anunnaki Starseed. But let's say you resonate with this information and you don't have these numbers as your life path, soul urge, or expression number, then check the rest of your chart, because if these numbers appear anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, then that could also be confirmation as well that you're an Anunnaki Starseed. And as you can see, numbers 4, 8, and master number 22, these are all traditional numbers. They tend to like tradition, and they like things to be ordered. And they feel out of place if there's not a schedule or some sort of order to kind of show them, the way and kind of what direction to go in. So These numbers tend to be very organized and tend to be good at constructing plans and goals. And 22 and 44, these are the builder numbers. These are the numbers that like to build things. And often will go into like construction and building and architecture. That's common. And 4, 8, and 22, these are also very loyal numbers, and they're very honest, and they can be very blunt with people, sometimes a little too honest, right? But they're honest and loyal and very dependable numbers. And respect is very, very important to all 3 of these numbers. They need to feel like they are being respected. That is very, very important to all of them. So let me know in the comments below if this resonates with you and if this is your Starseed group. Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to check out the other groups as well, because as I said, most people will resonate with more than one group because most people are from multiple groups. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So our next Starseed group are the Martian Starseeds. And if you resonate with this information and you have these numbers, which I'm going to go over very, very shortly, then you are a Martian Starseed. But make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And often people will resonate with more than one group because most people have incarnated into multiple Starseed groups. Often people will resonate with one group the most because that might be the group that they have incarnated into the most. But they will often resonate with others as well because maybe they've had other lifetimes in those groups also. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, there are stories that Martians came to planet Earth hundreds of thousands of years ago to take part in our evolution. Others believe that life existed in this dimension, which is the 3rd dimension, on planet Mars many, many years ago because of the discovery of water on the red planet. Now, very little is known about Martian starseeds, but there are people out there that claim to be Martian starseeds, and they know this to be true within their souls. And so people that are Martian starseeds, they tend to be drawn to the planet Mars, right? So having a desire to travel there or to colonize planet Mars, or any sort of interest in the planet Mars usually is a huge indication that you are a Martian starseed. And often as a Martian starseed, you will have had many, many previous lifetimes on the planet Mars. You will have lived there many, many times before in previous lifetimes. Now, time is not linear, right? So these lifetimes are actually happening at the same time because time is not linear. But, you have lived there before, basically. So you will often be drawn to that planet. And you will have a desire often to advance the human race. So you have this need within you to want to help humanity, or you want humans to evolve, right? You want human evolution to evolve, and you have a desire to help humanity, reach that higher level of evolution, right? And to get there as quickly as possible. Like, you want to see that happen. You want to see us advance quickly. Often so that you will have the chance to go back to planet Mars, right? Because if humans don't progress, if we don't, if we stay a one planetary system and we're not able to kind of, visit other planets, then there's no chance for you to ever kind of go back there and visit this planet that you've had multiple lifetimes on. So as a Martian starseed, you will want to see planet Earth progress so that there's a chance that you get the chance to go back there someday, right? Martian starseeds also often have a strong connection to water and fire elements because it's believed that at one point in time, Mars held water and possibly fire as well. These are elements that scientists have believed were once part of planet Mars. So they will often have a strong connection to water and fire elements. And many of them can often remember being on planet Mars, and they remember what it was like to be on that planet. Or they will have dreams about being on Mars, and they will dream about it. And through that, they can kind of sense what it's like to be there. They often have a very strong dislike of war, conflict, and division. So they don't like these lower frequency vibrations that are on planet Earth. And whenever there's conflict and division and war happening, they try to stay away from it, and they don't like getting involved in it. They want humans to kind of get beyond those things so that we can evolve and become a multi-planetary planet, right? Where we have the ability to visit other planets, and hopefully then they can go back to their home planet of Mars. So sometimes you might see them taking the initiative to bring peace between two conflicting sides. Sometimes you will see them in that mediation type of position. Now, the irony with Martian starseeds is that they don't like conflict, but they will often get themselves involved in conflict somehow. And that's because Mars has a very fiery element to it. So they will often get themselves involved in conflict even if they don't want to. They will somehow get involved. But because Mars has a water element to it as well, they will often deeply regret that they got involved. And often they will become very emotional about their involvement. And what happens when you put fire and water together? You get steam, right? So often you will see a period of cooling off where they are cooling off and kind of just regretting that they got themselves involved in something that they know that they are better than, right? So they don't want to be involved in low vibrational kind of situations and energies, and they know that they're better than those kind of situations, and then they end up regretting that, they did that and this ended up happening. So you'll see this cooling off kind of steaming kind of quality happening as well, right? With the regret that they often have if this happens. Now, if your life path, soul urge number, or expression number is either a 9, 1, or a master number 11, and you resonate with this information, then you are a Martian Starseed. But if you don't have these numbers as your life path, soul urge, or expression numbers, and you resonate with this information, then check the rest of your chart, because if you have these 3 numbers anywhere else in your chart, at least 3 times or more, that can also be confirmation as well that you're a Martian Starseed. And as you can see, numbers 9, 1, and master number 11, these are all numbers in numerology that have both fire and water elements within them at the same time. And number 9 is actually ruled by the planet Mars. That's right, it's ruled by the planet Mars. So 9 has a very strong connection to Mars and has a very similar energy and frequency and many similar characteristics to the planet. Number 1 is ruled by the sun, so it has a very fiery element to it. And master number 11 has connections to the sun and the moon, because of the 2 1s in the 11, it has a strong connection to the sun and a lot of the qualities of the sun. But at the same time, because if you add the 2 1s together, you get a 2, and 2 in numerology is ruled by the moon. And the moon has more of a water element and water quality to it. So master number 11 has a lot of both fire elements and water elements within it at the same time. So let me know in the comments below if this resonates with you and if this is your Starseed group. Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to check out the other groups as well, because as I said, most people will resonate with more than one group because most people are from multiple groups. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. So our last starseed group are the Polarian Starseeds. And if this information resonates with you and you have these numbers, which I'm going to go over very, very shortly, then you are a Polarian Starseed. But make sure to check out the other groups as well, because these numbers appear in more than one group. And often people will resonate with more than one group because most people have incarnated into multiple starseed groups. Often people will resonate with one group the most because that might be the group that they have incarnated into the most, but they will often resonate with others as well because maybe they've had other lifetimes in those groups also. So according to otherworldlyoracle.com, Polarian Starseeds come from the North Star Polaris. And there are many people who believe that Polarians were the first spiritual beings on the planet from a higher dimension. And at that time, they were giants in height. And so, typical signs that you're a Polarian Starseed are that you are a highly spiritual individual, right? Highly spiritual. And you are often drawn to the North Star Polaris or other dimensions. You will often yearn to know more about human origins and the ascension process. Polarian Starseeds often have empathic abilities. Most of them are very tall in height. Not all of them, but it's common for them to be very tall. They can sometimes be androgynous or non-binary. They often feel as if they have been on Earth for millions of years. They feel natural catastrophes such as earthquakes within their bodies and within their souls. They are often very loyal, down to earth, and humble. They often will be in tune with the Earth's energies, and they will feel shifts in seasons and other events that happen on the planet. They often are mediators, and they keep two sides from fighting and often will unite others and bring others together. So this is common with them. They don't like conflict. They don't like, they can feel the energy on both sides, and they often will be the person that comes in the middle to kind of bring people together. They like to see people united. They may have memories or dreams of lost civilizations, such as Lemuria. They love being monogamous, and they make great husbands and wives. That's right, they are very loyal. And so they can be very, very monogamous and very loyal to the person that they are with. They really value partnership and teamwork. To others, they can sometimes appear to be lucky in finances and appear to gain wealth easily. So sometimes this can happen where it just seems like they are able to do this easily or manifest these things easily. But this is because of their hard work and because they are team players and because deep down inside of them, they do kind of understand the power of manifestation. Sometimes they will use it and sometimes they won't, but they do have this ability within them if they choose to develop it. And the ones that aren't aware that they have this powerful manifestation ability within them, sometimes they will manifest bad things for themselves with this power. So it's very important for Polarian Starseeds to become aware of this and to kind of use it to their advantage so that it helps them and doesn't hurt them. They are often interested in metaphysics and spiritual enlightenment. They feel they have an important purpose on planet Earth, but sometimes they don't know what that is. So they feel like they have an important reason for being here. They know often that they're light workers, but they don't often, they can be confused as to how exactly, to make that happen and how exactly to really live out that purpose and make sure that they are doing what they came down here to do, basically. They prefer stability and they shy away from sudden changes. So they like things to be just kind of stable and calm and peaceful. Sudden changes can kind of rock them and kind of throw them off and can kind of disturb the peace with them. So they prefer things to be kind of like stable. Especially when it comes to relationships. They really prefer relationships to be as stable as possible. So if your life path, soul urge, or expression number is a 2, 9, master number 11 or a master number 22, okay? I forgot to put 22 on this list, but 22 is also one of these numbers as well. If your life path, soul urge, or expression number is one of those, and you resonate with this information, then you are a Polarian Starseed. But let's say you resonate with this information and these numbers are not your life path, soul urge, or expression numbers. Then check the rest of your chart as well, because if any of these numbers appear anywhere else in your chart at least 3 times or more, that could also be confirmation as well that you're a Polarian Starseed. And as you can see, numbers 2, 9, master number 11, and master number 22, these are all very, very highly empathic numbers. So these are the numbers that I consider to be the empath numbers. Check out a video that I did on how to find out if you're an empath. I will put a link to that video below. But these are the empath numbers, and people with these numbers tend to be highly empathic, right? They can sense other people's energy. And they don't like conflict. They like to keep the peace. They want things to be, nice and peaceful. And if there's any negative energy around, they can usually sense it, and it makes them feel very uncomfortable. And these numbers like their relationships to be peaceful. They want the environments in which they live in to be peaceful without any conflict. And they want the world in which they live in to be like that as well. So they often will unite people together, and they will often be the mediator, right? The person that gets in there and helps to bring 2 opposing sides together to help dissipate any conflict and negative energy. That's common with 2, 9, 11, and master number 22 because they are so highly empathic, right? And often you will see that people with these numbers, when they are in conflicts with other people, they will often be the bigger person, right? They will be the bigger person that kind of reaches out to the other person first and tries to make amends. So this is common with people with that have the 2, 9, 11, and 22 energy. They will often be the bigger person, the person who is more mature and kind of reaches out first. And this is very, very common with Polarian Starseeds, right? You will see this a lot with them, where they are often the one who is the bigger person in a conflict. So let me know in the comments below if this resonates with you and if this is your Starseed group. Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to check out the other groups as well, because as I said, most people will resonate with more than one group because most people are from multiple groups. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. I would love to have you subscribe and become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.